It is something experienced so often by so many, and yet it is so rarely spoken about, not least by someone with a profile as high as Meghan's. The Duchess of Sussex and Harry showed their son Archie to the world when they were on tour in South Africa a year ago, but today she wrote how they lost their second child. In a personal article on loss for the New York Times, Meghan wrote, "I knew as I clutched my firstborn child that I was losing my second. Hours later, I lay in a hospital bed holding my husband's hand. I felt the clamminess of his palm and kissed his knuckles, wet from both our tears."
We're going to read Duck Rabbit.
Meghan and Archie were seen again in May on his first birthday, being read a story for a Save the Children fundraising campaign. And Meghan told today of her and Harry's very personal pain just a few weeks after this recording. Meghan revealed the miscarriage happened in July. Losing a child, she wrote, means carrying an almost unbearable grief experienced by many but talked about by few. In the pain of our loss, my husband and I discovered that in a room of 100 women, 10 to 20 of them will have suffered from miscarriage.
This is a subject that people don't talk about terribly openly. And when they do, especially somebody who's as high profile as Meghan is, it can serve to validate the feelings that individuals have when they go through pregnancy loss. And that matters.
Harry's uncle Charles Spencer spoke this morning on ITV about the sad news from his nephew.
I can't imagine the agony for any couple of losing a child in this way. And it's so very, very sad. And of course, I totally agree with you. All thoughts with them today.
Meghan also wrote today about the question Tom Bradby asked her in the ITV documentary last year.
Yeah, well, I guess, and also thank you for asking, because not many people have asked if I'm okay.
She said that question had helped her and can help so many others at this time of loss during the COVID pandemic. The only way to begin to heal, she says, is first to ask, are you okay?
Chris is here and we're joined by Dr. Sarah Jarvis. Dr. Jarvis, I'll start with you. A very personal piece. Do you think it will help other people who go through such a loss?
Oh, I really, really hope it will. Miscarriage is so common. Overall, we think about 1 in 4 women who gets pregnant has a miscarriage, and those are the ones who know they've been pregnant. By Meghan's age, we're probably talking about 1 in 5 on average. It's lower for women in their late 20s, about 1 in 10. Once you're over 45, it's more than 1 in 2. And the problem is that it almost always happens in the first trimester, and so many people don't want to make it public just in case. And what is the just in case? So that if they do lose their baby, they don't inconvenience anyone or embarrass anyone by having them ask and having to tell them that they've lost their baby. I just think it's so sad, because that means that they carry that burden with them, not just the husband, the wife, but the husband too.
As you say, it is common. We've both experienced miscarriage ourselves. How has that helped you, helped your patients?
I think it really gave me an insight into the fact that the moment you're pregnant, you're not pregnant with a fetus, you're not pregnant with a sac, you are pregnant with a baby who is going to change the rest of your life, everything about your future. You become a mother the moment you discover you're pregnant. And that means that nobody should underestimate the deep distress that it causes when you have a miscarriage. I hope that I was sympathetic before, but by golly, it gave me an insight afterwards.
I'll bet. Chris Ship, she didn't need to do this, Meghan, but she did.
Yeah, listen, I think it was easier for her to do because she's no longer a member of the royal family in the way that they were this time last year. A lot of the events that they've been doing in recent months have been on their own terms, have been on their own schedule. They've approved, pictures in advance. So were she wanting to conceal her pregnancy before July, then it was much easier for her to do. She couldn't really have done that quite so easily as a member of the royal family. But I think, as with other members of the royal family, part of their job is to shine a light on issues. Prince Harry once said the reason why he spoke so emotionally about the death of his mother or getting psychiatric help was because he thought that could help others who were experiencing similar things. And I think that's exactly the reason why Meghan, on her terms, has written this article in the New York Times, because if she can talk about it, she's hoping others can too.
Yeah, this the focus on the mental health impact of something physically like that happening to you. Sarah, she writes later on in the article about her time in hospital and says, I tried to imagine how we would heal. What is your advice on that? Because surely it is different for every woman who goes through this and every family.
Of course it is, and the obvious answer is it's really important to talk. She says, asking, are you okay? Well, nobody can ask if you're okay if you haven't told them you're pregnant and they don't know that you've lost a baby. Some women, some men prefer not to talk about it. They don't feel ready to. But I think if you know somebody who's had a miscarriage, make it clear that you are there for them anytime. If they do want to talk, you're there. If they don't, you're there anyway, and you will be there the moment they do.
And if you do choose to seek support, what help is out there for people, especially in these constrained times during the pandemic?
The answer is it's relatively limited, but there are support groups out there and they vary depending on where you are. Some of them have gone online now, but certainly your GP would be delighted to talk to you. And there is counselling available on the NHS, which actually you can now refer yourself for. It's officially for depression or anxiety, but in fact, if your mood is really affected by it, you can refer yourself to IAPT.
Chris, even without this happening to Meghan and Harry, this was a challenging year for them.
Yeah, it's a challenging year. It's the year they decided that they would depart from the royal family. I mean, I've been covering stories that, Meghan's continuing legal battle with the Mail on Sunday, for example. That's been a heavy workload for her. But I think she actually wants to take this beyond just the question of loss around miscarriage, but also to talk about the pandemic. She says this is a year when loss and pain have plagued every one of us, and therefore that's why we should be asking this question, are you okay? And I thought it was very interesting. She referred back to Tom Bradby's question, which has had so much pickup since we broadcast it here on ITV last year, that we should be asking people, are you okay?